Parenting can be beautiful, but it can also be really overwhelming. That's why I want to tell you about DOWA Health. They bring together coaching, workshops, and on-demand support designed specifically for parents, all reviewed by maternal health professionals. It's about caring for every part of you, not just surviving the day-to-day. And yes, you'll even find Quiet Connection episodes featured right inside DOWA, so we can keep walking this journey together. If you're ready to try it out, Quiet Connection listeners can get 10% off with the code QUIET10, all uppercase and the number 10. Just head to dowahealth.com or grab the app in the App Store. Welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma surrounding perinatal mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today's guest is someone who embodies resilience and innovation. Stella went through her own deep struggles as a new mom and found healing through a maternal mental health program. But she didn't stop there. She built DOWA Health, a multimodal app designed to bring support directly into parents' pockets. Her story is honest, challenging, and inspiring, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Here's Stella. Hello! Today I'm here with Stella. Stella, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit under the weather, coming back around, hopefully very soon.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's as we're recording this, it is fall, it is back to school, and everyone is sick. Everyone is sick
Yes.
all the time.
Yeah, I know. I feel it.
Yeah, it's not fun, but that's parenthood for you. Um, so listeners, if you can't tell, I do know Stella a little bit. We've been working together a little bit, and we'll get into what that's all about. But I don't like to introduce my guests. I like to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So if you could let us know who you are, what you're up to today, but also who you were before you were a parent,
Okay, that's a very long answer.
right? I mean,
Okay. Okay, where to begin? I was born on, I'm just kidding. My name is Stella Faulkner. I'm the founder of DOWA, a maternal mental health company. Previously, I was also the founder of a company called Mix Labs. It still exists. And I worked in tech for a very long time. I love building products that bring people joy and help people. It's kind of like I've always worked on mission-driven companies. I had my son a couple of years ago. He's going to be 4 soon, and I went through some, you know, as people do, traumatic experiences that really impacted my mental health. And it was during the time when I was also a relatively new mom. My son was 1.5 at the time. And I just became very unwell. Like, it's like, I don't know, the nicest way to put it. And I ended up going to a program that ultimately saved my life. And I was very lucky to be able to go to this specific program because it was for moms. They took moms from prenatal to, up to 3 years old. So I was lucky to be eligible to go there. And I met some wonderful people there, wonderful mothers, really, you know, attribute my recovery to the mothers that I met there. And so when I discharged, became a certified mental health peer specialist. So I actually help other moms now through recovery, and I do that pro bono. And I also became a certified postpartum doula and certified lactation educator, not necessarily because I want to do all those things, but I want to be as helpful as possible, depending where the mom's at, whoever I'm supporting. So yeah, all of those things kind of led me to build this new company that could ultimately help moms wherever they are, reducing barriers to access because of cost or whatever it is, and really just trying to fill the gaps in care that I had. And yeah, it's just, I'm just trying to pay it forward, and we'll see how it goes.
well, it's incredible is what it is. So that is how Stella and I connected, was through DOA, and um I'm super excited about all of the developments that it has gone through, and where it is now. It is now an app. You will have heard at this point, you will have heard ads for DOWA on the podcast. Beyond that, getting to you, Stella, yeah, I think one of the things that I admire about you so much is how driven you are to serve others, like, that we need more people like that, but I don't know, you'll know at this point, I'm not a fan of silver linings, I don't like that whole idea, but, like, when you talk about, like, "Yeah, I went through these experiences, and then I came out of it, and I was like, 'I'm gonna do something about this. I'm gonna do something about this.'" So it doesn't justify what happened, but just the attitude of, like, "Yeah, I can turn this into something that's gonna help someone else." So, I so admire that. I wanted to hit on you said so your little one is almost 4, and you were talking about how after having and again, I'm sorry, I brain fart. Son? Having him?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. After see, I told you, see, this is just how I roll. Um so after having him, you went through some struggles, but I know that you don't specifically attribute it to PMADs or what we call perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. You kind of had a history with mental health struggles, correct?
No. No,
You
I
did
didn't.
not.
No, I did not. Yeah. I mean, I probably did, just never I'm Asian, so, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
We can
you
get
know,
into the
like
cultural stigma of
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but, like, my parents are immigrants, like, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a if anyone Asian or Asian American or children of immigrants is listening, like, I think they'll kinda get it. But,
Yeah.
no, I had never even been to therapy before,
Okay.
so I went from, like well, I know that's not true. I had actually started therapy because I was worried about getting postpartum depression. So when I became pregnant,
Okay.
I knew that people get postpartum depression. I knew it was, like, a thing, and I wanted to be as prepared as possible. So, because I have, like, a high pressure job at the times, I was running my last company. So I actually started seeing a therapist and, like, it was helpful, of course, but what happened after it was just, like, a little too much, and I think that compounded with being this new parent, just really I don't know, like, things just got, like, out of my control. And as many moms know, like, when you have a baby, have a child for the first time, like, your whole schedule is out the door, if you were someone like, I'm a type A person, everyone tells me that. So if you were someone who's, like, always on a schedule or, like, works crazy hours, as you know, like, you can always burn off the steam, right? You can go run 5 miles, you can go to a kickboxing class, like, there's, like, things that you can do, you can sleep. But when you have a kid, your sleep schedule's off, you're more tired, you have this whole other person that you have to take care of now, and they don't necessarily care about your calendar. They don't care that, if they're hungry, they're gonna say they're hungry and they're gonna wail until they get their food. Right? There's no, like, reasoning with them when they're so young. Um, Even now, my son's almost 4, can reason with him a little bit more, but it's still challenging? So, yeah, like, all those things, when you compound all those things, I think that it's becomes very difficult for caregivers. I talk about mothers, but let's just say caregivers, because obviously there are people who are taking care of their parents, and it's also very challenging, depending what stage or state that they're in. So it's just really, really difficult, right? It really upends your life, your, just all the things that you had as, in place for self-care. You just can't really do that stuff anymore. So yeah, I mean, even my therapist would not diagnose me as having a PMAD. And maybe it was because, when I first got to the program, my son was already a year and a half years old. So not exactly in that perinatal stage. My trauma was not specific to motherhood. Maybe that was part of it. Like, I don't know, but for whatever reason, it was not specifically a PMAD. And I try to be very clear that it was not a PMAD because I would not want to misrepresent, especially if someone is going through a PMAD. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I also don't like the word PMAD because it has the word mad in it as well. And the other thing is that there's another reason why I don't like the word PMAD. It's that I feel like it's kind of like this blanket statement, and it doesn't honor necessarily like the past traumas that someone might have that have now surfaced as they've become a parent. And so it's like, oh, it's a PMAD, it's because you're pregnant. It's because you just had a baby. It's like, it's because of this whole thing. I think for a lot of, mothers, new mothers, it's actually a lot of old trauma that came up, you know, and that's why I don't like calling it PMAD because it's like, let's say there was like a perpetrator. Okay. Let's say
Mhm.
someone caused you this trauma, which usually there is someone, right? It's almost like giving that person a pass.
Mhm.
Right? That's the way that I interpret it. That's why I don't like the word PMAT that much, because it's not that it's putting blame on the parent, but it's almost like it's putting blame or the issue with just motherhood,
Mhm.
versus, like, all the other things that contributed to it. And that could have been childhood trauma, that could have been so many things, right, in your life that you've held on to or, like really pushed down and have now resurfaced. But, the person or people or whatever was the event that caused that trauma, you know, they're still the cause of it. It's
Mhm.
not because of the PMAD. It's not because you're a mom. It's because of these events or people. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, so I love to I know that a lot of people don't love that sensation of, like, getting something wrong. I like the opportunities when I assume incorrectly because I get to learn so much. So, like, in assuming that you had a history with mental health, I now have learned so much more about how you feel about PMADs, how you feel about the word, how you feel about the circumstances, because that is an area of parenthood and caregiving that also is not talked about. So just as stigmatized as perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, there is like you said, trauma resurfacing in parenthood and parent overwhelm or parent burnout and how those things can contribute to negative mental health outcomes on their own without it having to be perinatal depression or anxiety or OCD or any of those things. I had a guest who, like, wholeheartedly was like, I did not have postpartum depression. I was depressed, but I did not have postpartum depression. And that was really fun to unpack. And I feel like this is going to be an interesting thing to unpack for similar reasons because, like you said, like, there are other contributing factors, but the stress of motherhood compounds and can be the catalyst to the breakdown or to the breaking point. I don't even like the word breakdown. It gives you these images.
Yeah.
That's yeah,
Or,
right?
it's the inability to recover,
Yeah.
right? Because you're so busy with mom stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, you know what? I'm going to stick to a timeline. I'm going to try not to go down too many rabbit holes. But you were proactive. You did seek out a therapist even with cultural stigma. You were still like, "Hey, this is a possibility. I'm going to get on top of this." You had your son. When did you start noticing that shift of like, "Oh my god, I am not on top of things." I am yeah.
Um, hmm. It was I had a specific event happen around a year and a half after, like, when
Okay.
it all kinda like when all the cards kinda, like, came falling down kind of thing. There was, like, a specific event that happened, and it was kind of like the breaking point of that event, and again, not related to motherhood. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But, when I first had my son, I was still kinda working, so there's maybe some things that, like, I didn't have time to process because I had this new baby and I was still working. But yeah, ultimately, like, I was okay,
Mhm.
but it was really this event that happened like a year and a half later. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you had the opportunity to go to a program that was specific to it was specific to perinatal mental health, but, like, I think it was in New York, correct?
Yeah, it was at this place called the Motherhood Center, which, not many exist in the US. It's like one of 3 maybe, but
Yeah.
they have this program called, PHP, which stands for Partial Hospitalization Program, and basically the way it's set up is that you go in for 5 days a week. Monday to Friday for 5 hours a day. They do have like a child care person if you have like a infant, like a newborn infant, that they'll watch the baby and while you join the group therapy. But it's a mix of group therapy and then there's individual therapy as well. There's also family therapy and there's psychiatry. If want to go on medication of any kind. I was there for like 2 months. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I did not want to go there. Well, like who does? And they take again from pregnancy to up to 3 years old. Most perinatal programs only take you from pregnancy to the first year after birth.
Mhm.
So I was very lucky that this program was able to take me, given that I'm not in the quote unquote perinatal stage. And the way that they kind of positioned it to me was that, look, if you go somewhere else, you're going to be with like, a 22-year-old person, like a 50-year-old man, like having the commonality of being all women, similar age ish, all moms or trying to become moms, having that commonality will be really helpful. And so I ended up going there. And also, like, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, she noticed that something was wrong over text message and she knew about this place. And it's because of her that I, went to this place and all these things. Like I was saved or whatever. So it's really like, I'm very, very thankful to her, of course. Um, completely. And yeah, like the program, it's funny, like I've kind of been like a tomboy my whole life. So most of my friends have always been guys, and this is like all women. I was never in a sorority. So it's basically like it's like my 8 weeks of sorority. That's what I call it. But I've never been around so many women in my whole life. But it was great. It was great. I don't want to say I had a great time because it was like a mental health program, but I met some really great people and I'm still, close with them and hang out with them. And we're all still, we're still very supportive of each other. And of course, like, just because you come out of the program, you're not like cured, there was still a long process of recovery after that. And you still go through dips, but everyone goes through dips, you know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
think when you go through dips after an experience like that, the dips are scarier because you know how far that dip can go, right?
Mhm.
So when you get into a dip, you're just like, oh shoot, like, am I okay? Like, like there's a slight panic that can come up because you don't want to go back to that, right? You don't want to go
Right.
back to that, intrusive thoughts or any of those things. And so you're like hyper aware, like when you're dipping.
Yeah. Well, and I also did a partial hospitalization program after being inpatient 3 separate times. So, yeah, that's its own thing. But I would assume, and I'd love to know a little bit more too, like the skills, because they do a lot of skill building in those programs. My program specifically did DBT therapy, so dialectical behavioral therapy. And those tools are supposed to equip you for when you discharge. And you do go through those dips and you're like, oh, okay, all right. I know what this is. Like, this is what's supposed to happen, right? You're like, I recognize this for what this is. I know what this is. I have the tools. I can cope with this. It doesn't always look like that. But what were some of the most beneficial tools that you kind of picked up while you were in this program?
Wow. I should really think about that. I was the person that like asked too many questions. So, so I feel like, or like always like testing them. And I was like, I'm pretty sure some of the therapists have found me incredibly annoying. Um, because like I didn't understand some of the things because it was like, there was one specific thing, but like they were like, oh, if you do this, like you get XYZ. And I was like, yeah, if you, but if you do it this way, you're still doing it the way that you explain, but then you get ABC. And then anyway, so I got to think about which ones, because we did CBT and DBT.
Okay.
And I think learning about the fight or flight was very beneficial for me. I had a really big problem with radical acceptance only because of the name of it.
Me
I'm like,
too, Stella.
this needs like a marketing person.
Yes. Okay, so I don't know if this will resonate with you. I was so mad and I even completed the program and I still was like, no, I'm like, no, I don't. I am not radically accepting any of this. Me and my therapist later rebranded it as radical acknowledgement.
Okay. That's better.
Right? Does it feel a little
Yeah.
bit better? Like,
It
I'm
feels a little
like,
bit better because it's like, why do I have to accept this?
yes,
Right?
like,
Like
no,
that
no, I
goes
don't
against,
accept this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so funny.
Acknowledgement's better. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what worked for me. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was like, "Oh my
No,
god,
it's
yes,
true.
I hate radical acceptance. I
Yeah.
hate it
I
so
just, the
much."
terminology is like does not work for me, you know? Um, oh, I realized something I learned in the program was that I can't do visualization exercises because I can't. So like it was it was so funny because the therapist is like taking us through an exercise. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I don't see anything. She's like, you don't like see like a beach if you close your eyes and like think of a beach. I'm like, no, I see darkness. And then I asked some of the others around me, they're like, yeah, I see a beach. I can see like, da-da-da." I was like, what? I was like, I never knew people could actually like see that, like when they close their eyes, but
Yeah.
I can't. And apparently, like, there's a percentage of people like me who cannot do that.
Mhm.
So, I try to do hypnotherapy, hypnobirthing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Is like silly. Now I know why, because I'm one of those people that can't visualize, but apparently most people can visualize things when they close their eyes. So I learned that about myself.
You learned that you hate radical acceptance and that you can't see things when you close your eyes and you
Yeah, yeah, I
can't
see
visualize.
like darkness
Yeah.
and like maybe like I can't explain what it is I see, but I don't see like this like picturesque beach or whatever that people see, and other people do.
Yeah, I mean, I
I didn't
do.
know that.
But yeah. No, I actually it's ironic. I learned that that was a thing, not through DBT, but I never realized that there were people who couldn't visualize things. I've heard it explained, I don't know if it's the same way for you, rabbit hole, but, like, I've some people say, like, "I can see the words." Like, when you say, like, "Picture a beach," I see the word beach. Like, so but they're like, "I don't see the sand or the." I'm like, "How can you not?" So, yeah, it's wild to me, which I'm sure it's wild to you that I
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
so it's like some of those tools, like, don't work for me. Um,
no.
yeah.
And that's really important to talk about too, and it's something that I'm really focusing my energy on, and it's another reason why I love how multifaceted DOWA is. We're gonna get more into DOWA, but, but I am all about accessibility and inclusion and things like that, and, like, these skills that we're being taught, especially in these programs, they're not gonna work for everybody, and I'm the same way as you. I wouldn't describe myself as type A, but I am a questioner. So and for me, when I was in that space, when I was going through that, I had a lot of anger and resentment. So a lot of it came less from a place of curiosity and more from a place of annoyance. Like, why are you making me do this? And if you talk about CBT and DBT and the skills that you learn, they're so tedious. They're so
Mhm.
tedious. Like, I'm sure you did mapping where you have to like think of an instance. How did it make you feel? How did you react? Like, on and on and on. I'm sure you had to do the dear man exercises to learn how to assert yourself. And I'm like, why are there so many steps to these things? Like, I don't want to write all of these things down. So, one, it's important for me to figure out ways to help parents access these skills or just people in ways that work for them, which is one reason I love DOA. And also recognizing that we may be using some of these skills without realizing we're using these skills. Like mapping, like I talked about, like traditionally you have to write it all down in these little boxes, and it's so freaking tedious. But I just realized recently, I was like, I do that in my head all the time. I just do it like a million miles a minute. Like like maybe that's the neurosparkly part of my brain.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, the reason I ask about like the tools that were beneficial to you, it's really fun to hear the ones that you hated because I
I
hated some
know.
of them too.
Well,
But it's also interesting, like, I love to hear your perspective on how are do you think you're still using these skills in a different way, or have you been like, "No, those were completely unhelpful for me?"
no, I mean, I think for me, even though I don't even though I don't use those skills, like, on a day-to-day and whatnot, understanding how it works and, like, understanding it intellectually has helped me a lot, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that was, like, most beneficial for me. I think that's also just how I receive information, how my brain works and whatnot. Some things that helped me after I discharged, because I became a peer specialist. So one thing I learned there was about this thing called RAP, which is a Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And I find that that is actually very helpful. And I've recommended that to several people now. That's really great because I can map out my different dip levels, like how
Mhm.
far, I'm going, like, is this a good, bad, really bad, like crisis? And understand what helps during different situations, like what level I'm at, what helps and what doesn't help. It's helped me really communicate to my husband when I'm dipping. So if I am experiencing any kind of dip or whatever it is, I'll tell him, and so he's like aware that I'm like experiencing something. And so we have an understanding of what to expect and what to do to help mitigate that and help not let that go further. So it's really helped me with like communication with my partner. I think a wrap is like very, very helpful. And there's free resources for that online if, anyone is interested. The other thing that's like really helped me, again, I didn't learn these in the program, but I did EMDR after I discharged. I found an
Yeah.
EMDR therapist that like really, really just changed the trajectory of my recovery. Um, I, you know, I feel like that it's like, the program saved my life.
Mhm.
EMDR, like, helped me recover.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, uh, huge fan of EMDR. I know it's not for everyone. I loved it. It works pretty quickly. Um, I know it's becoming more and more popular. I personally think it's wonderful and everyone should try it, especially if you have PTSD or CPTSD. And another thing and it's on the app, that I love to do, and I do with my husband sometimes, is the emotional freedom technique. It's EFT for short. And it's like a tapping exercise through your meridian points. I find that that has really helped me calm down if I have like a anxiety spike or whatever it is, but it really helps me level set. That's actually in our, panic button on our app. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like, I need someone to guide me,
Mhm.
which is what our app does. And so, I use the app a bunch. It's funny, our engineers, all men, I mean, they, they had to listen to the recordings while they're like building everything and testing. And one of them was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm so relaxed because I've just been listening to the content all day."
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
god.
"Oh, okay, great. I'm so happy to hear that." So yeah, I'm super relaxed. um, so yeah, good data point there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think I just need to be guided. Um, and so and I need it to be quick a lot of the times. Like our app has, long form content. Most of it's pretty short. We actually have this new set of content called 5-minute resets.
Mhm.
And they're very specific to parent situations that I'm really excited about. And of course, like I use the panic button a lot because it has all these different types of tools in there, and it helps you calm down in like minutes. Yeah, for like different feelings. So if you're like having rage or sadness or grief or anxiety, there's like 10 major feelings in there that we help reduce the emotion as quickly as possible.
I
Yeah.
so I know, like, I say repeatedly on the podcast and just, like, in general, like, Quiet Connection, we don't promote or, like, push any specific form of treatment or, like, program or coaching. What's different about DOWA and why I feel so good about being a part of this project with you and why I'm so excited to have you talk about it is that it's so multimodal that someone is gonna find something that works for them. Like and just, like, hearing you talk about what works for you and what doesn't work for you, right? Like, we talk a lot the only advice that we ever give on the podcast is talk to your doctor or your mental health professional, but it's good to know what that next step is. When you talk to your doctor, or you talk to your mental health professional, a lot of the time, you're going to start CBT or you're going to start a DBT program or you can look into EMDR. So it's good to know what these things are and what they look like and how they can help you or not help you. Like me personally, EMDR does not work for me. DBT, I know. It
I'm
makes me
so
very
sorry.
sad. I know. It works beautifully for my husband and for me it actually triggers PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay. That's a bummer.
DBT works really well for me, whereas for you, you're like, "Yeah, I don't really use those skills anymore." So, like, I think it's important to know and understand that, yes, talk to your doctor, talk to your mental health professional. These are the things that you are likely gonna hear about, and here's what they look like, and they might work for you, and they might not work for you. The one question I did wanna get into before we talk a little bit more about DOA is because I think it's a curiosity and a fear that a lot of parents have. When you're going to these programs, whether it's partial hospitalization, whether it's inpatient, whatever it looks like. I think there's a fear. I know there's a fear of what is going to happen with your child and what like I've heard the range of like are they going to take my baby away if I have to do this program to like how am I going to do this program? I have a baby. What do I do with the baby? What sort of impact did start because initially you said you didn't wanna do the program. What sort of impact did it play on your view as your role as a mother while you were doing this program?
Yeah. I mean, look, at that time, I know you have a trigger warning on these things. So, like, I was very suicidal. Like, I mean, it was like a kind of like a dire situation.
Yeah.
And I was like researching, like, how children are if their parent commits suicide, how they grow up, and all these things, and you know, thinking about how to put my finances in order, like all these things, right? I will say that I was very lucky. Well, I'm very lucky in general, right? I got this program exists near me. I got
Mhm.
to go, et cetera, et cetera. I had childcare support, and my parents don't live that far away, and I have a husband, a partner. Um, and I think at that time my son has started daycare. I could afford daycare. The reality is that so many parents do not have access to childcare. Now, a place like the Motherhood Center where they provide childcare while you're there, that's great. How many programs like that exist?
Next to
Not that
none.
many. How
Yeah.
many programs like that exist within a commutable range? Not that many. Especially if you have deep anxiety or OCD. Traveling to a place with a newborn or child, whatever, is very difficult. Now, even the program that I went to, they could not take my son because he's too old. They could
Uh-huh.
only take in like newborn and infant. Um, so I wouldn't have even been able to bring my son if I wanted to. And that would be very challenging. Now, if you're virtual, your child can just join the call. That can also be challenging if like, you have to like tend to the child. But you can mute yourself and just listen and participate when you can. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I was, it was hard to really be a parent at that time, right? Like I couldn't even get out of bed some of the days. What are you supposed to do? Again, I was lucky. I have a partner. I had a daycare. My daycare is literally downstairs building, like, very short commute. So yeah, I think about all the people who don't have that, who don't have that support. And I just think I don't know how those people do it, how they make it or how they survive. I mean, they do survive, right? But some of them don't.
Mhm.
And we know why,
Yeah.
right? We know why. And so I don't know, like, it's such a tough problem to solve. I know in other countries they have a little bit better support, but again, like, I remember talking to someone in the UK, she's in Wales, like, she had to go inpatient, but she's in Wales. She had to go, like, all the way to England and, like, leave her family, like, it's, like, not possible for a lot of people to do that, and that in itself causes more mental stress because now you're away from your family, like, what if you have other kids? You're away from them, like, it's just too there's no system really set up to really support the parent and the family as a whole, and
No.
it's unfortunate. Um, there's no, like, easy answer or solution yet, but hopefully, like, as we talk about maternal health, maternal mental health more and more, our solutions will get, more streamlined, smarter, more empathetic, right? More
Yeah.
compassionate. Like we need more compassionate solutions. And so, yeah, unfortunately, like you can't really rely on government or nonprofits or things like that. You kind of just have to try and do something yourself and just keep working towards it and try to collaborate and meet other people in the field like me meeting you and try to just work together with the other people in this space that want to make a difference, that are trying to make a difference, and hopefully like something sticks, like hopefully we come up with something where it's feasible to build and we can make it accessible and reachable and approachable where people aren't scared, right? But there is a
Yeah.
real fear of like getting your kids taken away. That's a very valid fear, especially if you're a person of color, like, or if you come from like you don't have all the social economic resources. Yeah, they might come for you. That's terrifying. What are you
It
supposed to
is.
do? So you stay silent.
Mhm.
What's the cost of that silence? I don't know. There's no real good answer. Like I want to tell people like, oh, don't be scared, like blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I'm also like, you should be scared. I would be scared. Like,
Yeah.
depending what state you live in, where you live, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in New York, so I'm not as scared, but I'm also, I'm Asian American and it's a little different. But like for other people, even in New York City, yeah, I would be scared too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hit on so many important topics. Um, and and listeners may know, like when you and I initially connected and you were telling me about this program that you were building and this app that you were building, I was so excited about it because it's accessible and it's something that is in your pocket. When you're in crisis, like severe crisis, like when you are suicidal, I was also suicidal, like you do need to be kept safe like that. You need to go
Yes.
somewhere to be kept safe. But if you're in an area where you're struggling, like to just have those resources in your pocket, it removes the socioeconomic barriers and it removes those stigma barriers. So that was one thing. But then I remember telling you, I was like, I want to open a facility and I have no idea how to do it. And someday I'm going to come back to you because Stella just makes things happen. And I'll be like, Stella, what do I do? I can't do it now. I have no capacity to do anything more. But that is what I wanna see because right? Like, you were talking about having to leave and go far away. I had to go down south. I had to go to North Carolina for a month
Yeah.
and right?
That's
And
nuts.
it's insane, and like you, I was lucky to have a partner who could care for my newborn while I was gone. Um, but yeah, it's a real fear, but you also deserve support. And like you were saying, like when you're in it like that and you're that low, you're not really thinking. I'm going to rephrase that a little bit. You are thinking about the impact that your decisions may have on your kids. For you, it was, okay, what will this mean for my child? For me, it was, I don't want my child to be a statistic. And so there's that, but you're not thinking about, okay, I got to make another bottle. I got to change another diaper. Like, though, you're just thinking about, like, I can't even pick my head up off the pillow, or I can't even put food in my body. So, yeah, it's important to recognize those things. Let's get into what DOA is, because I've said it like a million times now. I love the accessibility. I love that it breaks down those barriers. So let's talk about it. I met you when it was very new and still in conception mode, but I was so excited about it. Wh- When did that start becoming a goal for you? How long after, like, you're into your recovery process, did that start to become like, this is where I'm putting my energy?
I think it started become more real probably a year after I discharged. Yeah. Yeah, and by that time, I had done EMDR. I think around the time when we, like, launched, our MVP, our first version on the web only, I had just come off my medication too. I was on Wellbutrin for, like, a year, year and a half, and I had, like, officially come off. So I'd been, like, what's the word? Weaning off.
Titrating down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I was weaning down, and then, yeah, I was, like, officially off by then.
And
Yeah.
that was, like, you
That was,
celebrated
like,
with a
early this
soft
year.
launch? Like, yeah, like, you're like,
It
"Hey,
was early this year. Yeah.
here's my website. I'm off my meds. Here's my"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's my essay, yeah. Um, and then yeah, our app recently went live. Everything was slower than I wanted to because I was, my last company, I, like, raised much venture capital money and stuff. This time, I completely bootstrapped it, and
Yeah, you
so
did.
I kinda, like, was bouncing around from engineer to engineer, trying to, like, keep costs low, but, like, trying to find a good engineer, but I ended up going back to, my old engineers who are more expensive, but ultimately, like, they got it across the finish line and did a great job, so, yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
literally, like, collected people. Like, you went out there when you say bootstraps, like, you were reaching out to people. Like, you reached out to me, and I was shocked at the time, because at the time, I was like, "W somebody wants to talk to me about what I'm doing? Like, what?" Um, but, like, you literally did. You did the footwork. You were like, "I am going to gather mental health professionals that are versed in perinatal and postpartum mental health and women's mental health. I am going to look for the people who know how to do, like, sound healing, guided meditation, and, like, all of these things, and body work and movement and all of these modalities." You just collected experts and put them all in this one space.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's not a small thing, Stella. That's huge.
Thank you.
That's so huge.
I appreciate that. Sometimes I need to hear that kinda stuff, you know what I mean? 'Cause there are days where I'm like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, I feel
Hey,
that.
like,
I feel that.
like, "Just go back to tech." I don't know, like, get a real job. No, but yeah, but then there's, like, then I come back around, like, reality. I'm like, "No, like, this is very important. It's very important to me. Would deeply regret not doing this." It's like, it's funny I'm saying this now 'cause I'm sure if my husband heard me, he'd, like, laugh at me because, like, the other day I was, like, having a meltdown, but, like, you only live once, right? Like, what does it all mean? What does our life mean? Like, I'm also about to turn 40, so I'm, like, going through, like, an existential crisis or something.
No, I feel that as well. Yes.
But, like, I'm like, "What am I doing? Like, what is, like, none of this matters," or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. It's gonna go out there. I'm already making some updates right now and expanding the library for the free membership and whatnot, but, yeah, I don't know. It's possible that no one uses the app, and that's okay.
My
I
god,
mean,
I highly
like,
doubt it.
it is what it is, but, this is, like, our first level of care, and I'm looking into building, like, the next level of care, for people who need a little more support, but this is kind of, like, the most accessible level of care, and I hope that people, like, you know, even if you're in therapy or even if you're in a program like I was, the weekends, the times when you're not with the people with your group in therapy, like, it can be very challenging depending, like, where you're at mentally, and so hopefully this platform will help you, during those times where you're feeling low or lonely. I try to put stuff in there that I needed at that time that I think resonates more with mothers and what we're going through. And really, like, also for people who are not just in the perinatal stage. Like, I wasn't in the perinatal stage, right? And a lot of the stuff out there is for people who are in the perinatal stage. Actually, one of the things that bothered me about the program sometimes was that some of the conversations were very much around newborn care, right?
Uh-huh.
The newborn stage. And I'm not in that stage, so, and like, I didn't have a mental health condition during that stage. And if we're only talking about that stage, it's a little hard for the people who are not in that stage. So I wanted to make it much more broad, while still having um, support for those stages, but really try to make it as broad as possible so that even if you have like a 10-year-old, you can get the support you need.
Yeah. Um, so I'm gonna tell you what I love about it first, just because I haven't had the opportunity to tell you yet. Because the
Okay.
app, when this comes out, the app will have been out for a little while, and but the app just came out and I'm so excited about it. So a lot of people may be thinking to themselves, or maybe not, because I didn't even know, like, well, there's PSI, there's Postpartum Support International, which I didn't know about when I was in the thick of it. But like you said, like, they have a wide variety of resources and tools, and they are kind of the gold standard, but they are really focused on that perinatal period. And what I love about DOA is that, just like you said, it's not necessarily focused on, I mean, there's spaces for pregnancy, there's spaces for postpartum, there's spaces for infertility, there's spaces for when you have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, whatever stage of parenting you're in. So I love that part of it. This is completely, like, whatever it is, it's beautiful. Like, the app itself is beautiful. It feels warm, it feels welcoming, it feels easy to access. Whereas some other, like, quote unquote parenting apps feel a little more clinical, and this just feels like, oh, okay. All right. Like, this feels nice. It's aesthetically pleasing, and but that does contribute to a user's experience and who they're gonna tell about it and how word is gonna, so when you say, like, "Well, maybe no one's gonna use it," I think this is gonna blow up, I really do. And like I've said so many times, I just love how multimodal it is, because it really does contribute to accessibility, which is huge to me. But I want to know what some of your, I mean, obviously it's your baby, so you love it. But, like, what are some of your favorite things about DOA right now?
Yeah, so funny, like, I don't love it. I mean, I do love it, but I see all the things that I had to, like, compromise on.
Mm,
Like, there's a couple areas where it's, like, not pixel perfect, and I'm like, "Ah, I can see it." But,
I do the
it's
same
okay.
thing with my
It's okay.
stuff. Yeah.
I really like our panic button. I mean, I call it a release valve, but other people call it a panic button, but it's just the big circular button in the middle. I really like that, because I love the tools in it, and they are all clinically proven tools to help you reduce, those big emotions. I love that we have, uh, this, like, open coaching. So if you
Mhm.
wanna talk to a parent coach or a pediatric PT, a pediatric OT, a patient educator, they have live classes and they do Q&As or office hours, and so you can join those as needed. That way you can ask, like, any questions that you might have, in real time and get a real time answer. So I love having that option for people, so that they don't have to go through insurance. They don't have to pay extra. They can just go in and ask those questions, and it's all part of the platform. Um, I I love these like 5-minute resets. You haven't seen them yet. I haven't
No.
pushed them out yet, but they're 5-minute resets that are 5 minutes long, and it's to help you reduce stress very quickly for very common mom moments, parent moments. Things like dinner time battles, like siblings fighting, or whatever it is, or even like you know do I quit my job? I'm going to quit my job today, or things like that, right? And so these 5-minute resets to just help you reduce the stress, maybe pump you up a little bit if you're about to do something. And those are just like very quick one offs. Again, very specific to motherhood, parenthood, and those will all be free.
I love that.
And of course, we have the peer support, which are like the voice notes from other moms. And this anyone can contribute to, but it's kind of like a message to your former self. For the
Mhm.
moms who made these voice notes, like a message to your former self, and it's actually very emotional for some of the moms who did these voice notes. And one of them told me like, "Oh, I had to make mine really short. I started to like, I thought I was gonna start crying."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I hope that if you're a mom and you're going through something, you're struggling, you can listen to these voice notes, voicemails, from other mothers who have been where you are, and just know that like you too will make it through to that other side, as these mothers have. I thought of this idea because, I thought about when I was in the program, I would cry a lot, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't sleep sometimes. So, you're up at 3 a.m. in the morning and you're on like the bathroom floor crying, and you're like, you don't know what to do. And I don't want to go on Instagram and doom scroll or anything like that. You can't call anyone really. I know like suicide hotlines exist. Uh, I've tried them. I personally did not have a great experience with them, but I'm hoping that like you can go on our platform. Again, this is free. Um, and you can listen to these voicemails, and you know, you might find a voicemail that's very similar to the situation you're currently in, and it'll help you to kind of relax a bit, get up off that floor back in bed, or whatever it is. But um, yeah, I think being able to hear someone's voice is very helpful. And so I hope that is something that um, I don't know. It could save someone's life. I have no idea. I have no
I
idea.
bet it will.
But I think that if you need to hear the voice of someone, why not a mother, another mother that knows exactly how you're feeling,
They're
that has
real
been there.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're real people. It's not clinical. It's not another toxic positivity like, "You're okay, mama. You're gonna be" No, it's like, "Hey, I've been where you've been." I remember crying on the bathroom floor. I remember when you were rolling out the idea of these voicemails, and I was just like, "This is so brilliant." Like, this is so brilliant because just like you said, those suicide and crisis lifelines, while they are essential, when you're in these moments that are specifically tied to, like, motherhood maybe, or maybe not, like, you just need to hear from another mom and know that, like, you can survive. You can survive. Ugh, um, so before I reveal my new surprise ending to you, which is ironic, and we'll get to it, I want to give you an opportunity to let my listeners know, and these will all be in the show notes, but let them know where they can follow along, where they can learn more about DOWA, where the best places are to look, and obviously download the app. It's in the Apple Store and Google Play, correct?
Yes. Yeah, they're both there.
Yes. Yeah, where can they find you, though? Where can they learn more about you and follow along DOA's journey?
I guess on Instagram. Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at dowahealth.com. I post uh, s- updates of myself sometimes there, which I don't like doing. Like, I don't like doing face reels, but
I don't
whatever.
either.
But yeah, you'll see my face there sometimes. You'll see what I look like. And you can also just, join our newsletter at dowahealth.com. But yeah, yeah. I mean, also, like if you ever just want to chat, again, like I'm a peer specialist and I'm happy to chat or help in any way I can. There's some moms that have reached out before where I just help them find resources in the US, wherever they are. I help them find a therapist that doesn't charge $1,000 an hour, it's like whatever it is. And again, because we have all these providers on our platform that I now have met and whatnot, can reach out to all of them and see if they can work with you, if they take your insurance, like all these things. So, yeah, I'm always happy to just help however I can.
Yeah. I love that. I love especially people like you who are willing to like if you drop into Stella's DMs, she's going to respond. Like it's a real person. It's not a bot. It's not a thank you for reaching out to us. We'll get back to you in 3 to 5 business days. Like it's like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" So, before I before I spring this on you, first I want to say thank you. Um and then I will reveal my little surprise for you. This is especially fun for me speaking with you about it. I've been doing this now for a handful of episodes, but the idea was inspired by you.
Oh,
And
so
well, no,
scary.
but no, it's so ironic that the last thing that you brought up was the voicemails because, and I do it a little differently. I used to end my episodes with like, okay, what's something you would say to your past self, or what's something you would instill with yourself, or what do you hope listeners take away? And I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was like, this doesn't feel like it's serving people anymore, and I love this voicemail idea, but I tweaked it a little bit. So
Oh,
now what I'm doing is I'm asking my guests to go back into the days before text messages and voice memos when you actually had to call a landline, and if someone didn't pick up, you had to leave a voicemail. You have no idea who my next guest is gonna be. You don't know anything about them, you don't know anything about their story, but you're gonna leave them a voicemail with a message that you want them to receive.
for your
So,
next guest?
for my next guest, right? So, the fun part about this is for you to and, like, I keep telling everyone, I was like, "This is kind of like" it's a little bit self-serving because for you to get your message, you have to listen to the episode before yours. So you have to come back. But yeah, you don't know anything about them. You can imagine whoever you want. You can picture whoever you think this person might be. It could be a mom, it could be a dad, it could be a caregiver, it could be anybody. But you want to leave them a message because you called. You called Quiet Connection today. Um, what kind of message would you like to leave for them?
For your next guest? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for, giving your time to share your story on this podcast and just in general. I know that how hard it can be to be personal so publicly, especially about something um, as heavy as mental health. A lot of people don't talk about it, and so I think it's really amazing for you to have the courage to share your story in the way that you're doing, and you know that's all we can do, right? Just speak our truth, share our experience, and just hope that the person listening on the other end, you know, learns from it, takes whatever they need from it. You know, it could be someone that is really, really struggling. Like we don't know what state they're in, but your story could be that one story that changes their life. That really changed the trajectory of their life and their recovery and what they do next. And so, like, you know, what you're doing, what you're sharing is no, it's not small. It's very, very big. There's a ripple effect that we will never truly know, but we do know that it will help someone along the way. So thank you.
I love it. So, yes, I kind of stole your idea a little bit, but it's also a challenge,
No, it's
and
great.
I haven't gotten the same answer twice. This it's fun. It just Stella, you know I love what you do. I love just feeding off of your energy. So thank you. Thank you for spending some time with me this morning. Thank you for everything that you're doing with DOA and just in life. And I know I'll be chatting with you, but thanks for trusting Quiet Connection.
And thank you, Chelsea. Thanks for everything that you do and your energy and how you support all the people around you. It's amazing.
Stella's journey is proof that even in our darkest moments, healing and hope are always possible. And that sometimes the most powerful change comes when we use our pain to build something for others. Don't forget to subscribe to Quiet Connection, leave us a review, and share this episode with a friend who may need to hear it. You should also be following us on social media. And if you'd like to share your own story, visit us at quietconnectionpodcast.com or send me an email. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you.